welcome to Seller Mobile TV. My name is Hiba Weber, and I am the COO of Seller Mobile. We offer a great software for Amazon sellers to manage and grow their businesses. But a huge part of your Amazon business is your listing. The way you set it up, how the images that you use, the language that you use, to really bring that perfect customer to your door, to have them click buy now, and for you to get that sale. And that is sometimes easier said than done. So I have a wonderful guest with me here today, Emma, who is the owner of Marketing by Emma. and so she is going to share some really really good information to help you make sure that you've got that perfect listing that is catering to your audience. Sometimes when you think of marketing, you sort of think of these buzzwords, that, marketing language that, you feel like you need to, jam in there and pack it full of stuff. But really it's so much about authenticity to yourself, to your brand, to who you are. And Emma's going to share that with us today. So Emma, why don't you take it away? Tell us about you and share what you've got, what you've got for our sellers.
Thank you so much, Hiba. Thank you for having me. I'm pretty sure you just summarized everything that I needed to say, and we can just call it a day. Well, just authenticity is such an important word, and I think that sometimes that becomes one of those buzzwords of marketing, and it's not worth just kind of saying, oh, okay, yeah, that's the hot thing to think about right now. But it really is such a vital part of creating a successful business. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll dive into it and take a look at some examples of businesses that are doing a really great job of that authenticity piece. So like you said, my name is Emma Shermer-Tamir. I'm the co-founder of Marketing by Emma. That guy standing to the left of me is my husband and business partner, Erez, and we help e-commerce businesses with their various marketing writing needs. And of course, now what always happens, let's see if I can actually, there we go through my slides. So before we get into sort of this larger piece of, we'll call it branding, when you start talking about things like, this authenticity piece, along with all of the other types of tone, style, all of that, there are some basics that we want to make sure that you're doing and that you're not overlooking, because they are very, very important. So first and foremost, you must have a thoughtful, well-researched keyword strategy. Amazon relies on their algorithm to match buyers with the right products. And so you need to understand what terms your customers are going to be using in hopes of finding a product like yours. So that includes not just searching and taking the highest search volume keywords and calling it a day. That may really limit your opportunity to get in front of the right customers, but it also could potentially put you in a situation where you're having to spend a lot of money to gain the kind of traction that you need in order to be selling and ranking properly. So looking and seeing how competitive certain keywords are, how relevant they are to your product. And then when you're talking about the listing itself and anything that's going to be customer facing, it's also really important to choose words that are going to make sense when somebody's reading them. So you could have a really attractive 7-word phrase that has 10,000 searches and only 500 competitors they're also ranking for that. Well, that may be a great word, but if you can't put it into your listing in a way that makes sense, perhaps it's something that's better saved for the back end. So that's just crucial. You have to get customers to your door or to your listing, and your keywords are one of the main ways that you're able to do that. Next, you need to think about what customers really want and need to know about your product, and setting your listing up in a way that's going to be very easily skimmable. Because whenever we're searching for a particular product to buy, we all have those specific criteria that we need to check before we're going to invest any more time in learning more about the brand or the product. So if it's something electronic, perhaps that's certain compatibility elements. If it's something for, something for a baby, perhaps it's the safety standards or the types of materials that are used. So we all have those specific criteria, and you really want to make sure that you are identifying exactly what those are, and then you're putting your listing and setting it all up in a way that with a very quick glance, I know exactly how and where to find that information. So thinking about things like with your bullets, making sure that each bullet is only focused on one specific topic. Don't try to cram a bunch of different things into one bullet, because if your bullet starts off being about one thing and ends up being about something else, that something else customers may never be able to find or get to. And so it's sort of just throwing it away. So being really thoughtful about what are the 5 most important things that somebody absolutely needs to know about your product. I also like to use all caps letter headers for the bullets to indicate what each bullet is about. Again, when we're thinking about skimmability, and if somebody's just scrolling through the page, they won't really have to make much effort at all to find that bullet that is specifically about the thing that they need to know. And then alongside that, making sure that every word counts. So if a word is not either checking an SEO box, in other words, a keyword, or helping to push the sale forward in some ways, then it shouldn't be there. You really want to think about how can you use as few words as possible to communicate what you need to do. And that doesn't mean that you're strictly writing the dimensions and the materials and calling it a day. You can still have, and you can still find ways to be engaging and build excitement, but making sure that something is there that's communicating something new or fresh, and not just there because it sounded interesting, or you really want to make sure they got that point, but you already said it in the bullet before. Being very benefit forward and then supporting with details. So what I mean by benefit is everybody is purchasing a product because they have a particular problem to solve. And you want to make sure that you're clear about the problems that you're solving and what those deeper emotional elements are that you can connect with your customers about. So for example, let's go back to talking about a baby product and being really thoughtful about the materials that people are bringing into their homes. So if you're just talking about the materials, that's more of a feature, that's more of a detail about your product. But if you tap into the emotional reason behind why a parent would be so concerned about the materials that they're exposing their child to, then you're able to get something a little bit deeper and really help to trigger that desire. But also you're just helping to connect the dots, because it's possible that somebody understands that on a superficial level. But if you think about yourself for a moment and how you are when you're shopping, and first of all, you're probably comparing at least 3 or 4 different products side by side, and you have a lot of other things going on and competing for your attention. And so you may know that on a base level, but as you're scrolling through a page, you may not be thinking about that. So if as a seller, you can really hone in on that and speak to it directly, then you have an opportunity to connect with customers about something that they're already aware of and help to facilitate that sale a little bit quicker.
So it almost sounds like an aha moment, right? So when you're like looking through something and, it catches your attention. So you're looking for a specific, element of that product, like material, you want to cotton something for the baby. But then when you see it written in a way that adds more of an emotional kind of safety piece and material piece, and kind of why you sort of have an aha moment, and you kind of want to quickly, oh, this makes sense, let me go ahead and click add to cart. Is that kind of what
yes,
thought process is?
Yes, 100%. And that's a perfect example. So something like an all cotton blanket. On the surface, a lot of us could probably start to figure out why an all cotton blanket would be important. But if you are able to say, and again, there's a few reasons why an all cotton blanket could be important. First of all, it's some children may have sensitive skin, and so cotton is a much gentler fabric than something that may have synthetics in it, or could be irritating to delicate baby skin. So there's that piece. there's also the piece of a lot of blankets that have synthetics in them may have certain chemicals that they're processed with, or that's just in the material itself that the baby is being exposed to, even more so because as they explore the world, they put things in their mouths and they're just, really kind of getting up close and personal with the product. And so being able to touch on even a few of those different elements, it all goes back to one core feature of the product, but there are actually a few really important benefits there that would be worthwhile to connect with the customer about.
Right. Because I could even see something like that in the images, kind of what you had mentioned. So you're mentioning sort of the material, but then maybe you've got an image of a baby putting that thing in their mouth, and you think, oh, right, that's safe. The baby's doing that. That's okay. So this product is clearly sort of made to be able to be used like that. Oh, right, my baby does that. Oh, so you're just adding kind of elements together to really sell a certain feature that someone would be looking for.
Yes, 100%. And I love that you mentioned that in the photo, because that's actually a little bit lower on the list, but
I just keep
definitely no less important.
Oh, I think we lost you.
Because I think you're ready to do so. So if you have that image and it's showing that, and so people are seeing that and getting a bunch of different messages, but then if you can use a little bit of text in there as well to help reinforce that message that you're trying to say, you make that image even more impactful, because then, maybe most people that look at that photo will see that and think, okay, well, if the baby's putting it in their mouth, then it's safe for them to put it in their mouth. But maybe some people also see that photo and then they remember that they're out of pacifiers and they need to buy more pacifiers. And so then suddenly they're on a different product page because they got distracted by something else. So a little bit of text helps make sure that everybody's on the same page when they're looking at that photo and getting the exact message that you're wanting them to get as a seller, not whatever message they may be getting from their own personal experiences that, all coalesces into their interpretation of that image. Building trust is so important. It's always been important in business. Online, it's even more important because you don't have an opportunity to be making those interpersonal relationships that you would be able to if somebody was coming into your store. So being very thoughtful, not only with things like making sure you have impeccable grammar and spelling, but also making sure that you are putting your best foot forward with your photos and that everything just looks great. And we were talking a little bit at the beginning about all those sort of like marketing tips and tricks and tactics. And you also want to be aware of not overselling your product. It can be really tempting. And I see this, it's quite common, especially with people that don't have a lot of experience doing their own marketing writing, where you just want to say that your product is the best and the most innovative. And you feel like that's what you need to say in order to make your product stand out and be attractive. And unless your product can truly say that it's the best, you shouldn't. You shouldn't try to sell to everybody and anybody if your product can't truly check those boxes and say, yes, this is the most innovative. So being thoughtful and understanding about where your product shines, and maybe also being honest about where your product doesn't shine. So if your product's not the right fit for some people, then helping them to know that. Like, even, again, we'll go back to this cotton baby blanket. Let's say that it's a really soft blanket, but it still is not great for babies that have some certain skin conditions. Maybe the cotton is treated with something in the processing that could create a rash for the baby. So helping the customers to understand that on the front end, so those with really, really sensitive skin or with those particular skin conditions won't end up with a blanket that's going to cause harm to their baby, will go a long way. And it's better to mitigate that issue on the front end rather than selling to that customer, having them get the product home, using the blanket, having their baby have a bad reaction to it. That's stressful. That's more likely to cause a negative review, returns. And so it's not about making any and every sale, but about making the right sale with the right customers that are going to want to keep your product. And then sort of summarizing a lot of what we've talked about is making sure that everything is customer centric. So putting the customer at the very center of everything you're doing. It's natural to want to talk in we, our type of language. Think your language, and really make it about the person that's buying your product, because that's who they care about. They don't care about you. They probably don't know who you are. And so you don't want to just talk about how great you are. You want to talk and connect directly with your customer and help them understand and go through that journey in deciding that this product is the best for them.
I think that was a really point thing that you said here, that, it's not about the seller, it's about the customer. So rather than saying like, we provide this great product, it's this product is great for you as a buyer. And I think that it's something so small, but can make such a big impact, because one is, like you said, very seller centric, and then the other is customer centric. And it's such a small distinction when you're writing something, but I think it has a really big impact.
I agree completely. It's we're all our own favorite topic. And so it's better to embrace that and understand it and think about how you can connect into that rather than just falling into, because naturally when you are describing your product, you're going to use that we and our and type of language, and that's just how you'll do things. And so it takes a little bit of restraint, and it's probably going to require some editing and going back and thinking, okay, am I just trying to talk about myself and how great I sound, or can I shift this just a little bit and still touch on all of those points, but suddenly make the customer the center of this? And it can have a really big difference. And it just in general makes the writing also much more interesting to read. When you see every single sentence starting like that, it's boring. It doesn't grab you in. You're like, okay, that's great that you do this and that and the other. We'll actually see an example of that in just a moment. So we have a side-by-side here. On the left, we have Melita Coffee. They are a coffee company that's been around for over 100 years. You can find them in a lot of grocery stores. So they're pretty well established in the retail space. And then we have Black Rifle Coffee Company. Black Rifle is an e-commerce based coffee company, and they have just been doing fantastically online over the last few years. I don't know exactly when they started. And so some of these things may look like I'm contradicting myself with what we just spoke about, but what we're going to start to explore is this deeper piece of branding and developing who you are as a brand, but also really digging in and understanding who your customers are and finding how you can start to differentiate yourself on a marketplace like Amazon, and really even change the conversation to be about more than just price or the specific basic functions of a product. So the first thing that I notice when I get into the listing is Melita is selling their coffee for $7.99 for 13 ounces. Black Rifle, they have 12-ounce bags that they're selling for more than double the price at $16.99. So there's something going on here. These are both high caffeine coffees. So at their core, they are the same product. They might source their beans from different places. They may have different roasting practices, but at their core, they are the same product. However, Black Rifle Coffee Company is doing something that's allowing them to command a much higher price point, and they're also just selling more product. So there's something going on here, and I think that we'll begin to figure out why. So if we look at Melita, on the surface, it looks good. So they have those all caps lock headers that we were talking about. But if you notice, every single sentence is starting we, our, we're. So that's the number one issue. Number two is it sounds fine, but it's just totally lacking any kind of personality. You read this and you really don't get any sense of what this product, like what this brand is. This is also a high caffeine coffee, so I would expect a high energy piece of copy to go along with that, and this is rather dull. On the right, with Black Rifle Coffee Company, they're actually doing some things that I would recommend not doing, including using emojis, which in my mind just really cheapens the brand and the product. I think it works for them here, but you want to be really thoughtful about whether that's something that is making sense for the product that you're selling before just using them left and right. And they're also using much longer bullets than what I would recommend. However, if you see what's going on here, they're a veteran-owned company. And so they're starting to expand the conversation. So they're not just saying, we're selling coffee. They are selling a whole experience and a whole story that's much more than just coffee. Because there are a lot of people out there that are going to be really excited about supporting a veteran-owned business. And they're also doing something a little bit bold, because there are also people that are not going to be as excited about supporting a veteran-owned business. They're talking about their pride in the military and law enforcement. That's a very divisive topic right now. But they have understood that this is something that's really a core component of who they are, but it's also something that's a core component of who their customers are. And so they're connecting around this point and making the conversation about so much more than just coffee. And this is something that the people that are interested in that are going to feel really excited about seeing. And that's where that opportunity to really differentiate themselves is coming from, because there's only so much you can do with coffee. So here's Melita's A+ content, formerly known as EBC. It looks nice. There's nothing inherently wrong with this, but you could also substitute Melita's label for Folgers and it would seem the same. It just looks like a very corporate, generic A+ listing. Now, something that I noticed in one of the bullets here, Melita says they've been in the business for over 100 years, and they also said in 1908 they invented coffee filters. I think that is awesome. I think that's so cool. And I think that that is something that if they could connect into, so they're perhaps the innovators of how we drink and experience coffee today. And if they invented coffee filters, and they've also probably been involved in a lot of other things that they're not even communicating here. So what if in their A+ content, they had an image of their first coffee filters, and they started to speak about, really establishing themselves as experts and as, pioneers in the coffee space. And perhaps this whole thing would look very different. Black Rifle Coffee Company, you'll see they only have one module in all of their A+ content that's about the coffee itself. Everything else here is really helping to develop a relationship with the customer. So they have the Black Rifle Coffee Company family with a photo of the whole team. They have a note from the founder talking about their mission, their culture, their brand. They're even in all of the images where there are people, they have Black Rifle Coffee Company merchandise that it's sort of subtle, but they're really helping to create this whole lifestyle and image of who this business is, and inviting people to get excited and to want to be a part of that. So they're not just selling one bag of coffee because this was the first high caffeine coffee that a customer found when they were going to Amazon. They're selling something that is inviting people to make this their go-to coffee, and most likely also something that when they discover it, they're going to want to tell other people about it also, because this is a brand to get excited about, and they're giving customers that opportunity to really become a part of the story. So
the key takeaway that I got from this, and I know that you're not done with this, but was really was the price point, really was the margin. I mean, when it comes to coffee, coffee's coffee. Yeah, you could probably pay more depending on where it's sourced from, but probably not that kind of margin, right? I don't think that would be the difference. So I think that adding personality and not everyone's going to like the personality like you said, but they're making a stance, and that stance is allowing them to actually significantly increase their margins. And I think that that's kind of, at least that's a takeaway that I got, is if you put in the extra effort to create a message that's catered to that person who's going to buy your product, you can significantly increase the kind of margins that you'd like to have. Is that kind of fair to say?
That's definitely fair to say. And it's very true because so a lot of sellers, their strategy is, okay, there are the top 2 or 3 competitors. They're obviously doing really well. I want a piece of that pie. I'm going to copy as close as I possibly can to what they're doing because obviously that's working. Right. So what are you really doing to yourself when you're doing that? You're making it harder for customers to differentiate you because now I, as a customer, am looking at 3 or 4 products that look totally the same.
Right.
So I'm now in decision paralysis as a customer. That's not a great place that I want to be in. I want to feel like I have options, but instead I'm like, how am I even supposed to choose? Oh, well, now I have 2 points that I can choose on. I can choose on price, or I can choose on reviews.
Right.
Well, if you're copying the top 2 competitors, there's a good chance that they're going to be able to win on at least one and potentially both of those things. And so you're making the conversation about price and about also who's been there the longest and who has the most reviews. And so that is not a great position to be in, especially when you're launching a new product. Whereas if you find out what makes you different, and it may not even be the core of the product itself, like probably Black Rifle Coffee Company has different ways of roasting their beans, and they're probably sourcing them from somewhere else. And I think it's a US based company. So there are some details about the product itself that do differentiate it a little bit, but that's not enough to really engage customers in a way that makes them excited about spending 2 times the price for a coffee. And so figuring out what is that thing that you can use to make the conversation about something more than just the main core features of a product. And that's where this stuff comes in. So let's take a look at another example. At the time I took this screenshot, this is the #1 pet supply in all of Amazon. And I've actually checked this a few times, and it seems to like really hold the rank as #1 in pet supplies. So it wasn't just a fluke. And the next closest big brand to them that's selling the same product, they are number 3098 in pet supplies. And number 46 in this particular product. Do you have any guess what it is? I know you might have glanced it, but if you didn't glance it already.
I didn't. I have no idea. What's cat litter? Is it, I don't own a cat or any pets, but is it one of those like where, like those, like a scooper or something? Is it I don't know.
It's along those lines, but not quite. It's poop bags.
Oh, okay.
So I know it's not the most exciting topic to be,
but it is one of those things you purchase over and over again. So.
Exactly. But I mean, funny enough, so we have cat litter, we have flea and tick control, and then treats are number 4. I would have expected treats to be the #1, but I guess there maybe are more treats to choose from. I really don't know. Yeah. Anyway, poop bags are the #1 best-selling product, and they're not just any poop bags. These are biodegradable. So again, we're starting to see that there's something more going on here than just the product at its core. So we're comparing Earth Rated against Glad. I don't know if you're seeing this, but Earth Rated has over 27,000 reviews. Yeah. There are over 27,000 people that use this product and were so excited about a poop bag that they felt like they needed to go on Amazon to write a review.
About it, yeah. That's crazy. And how does Glad only have 52? That's surprising because they have been around for so long. I don't know if Glad this is new for them. This is a new product for them in terms of, because I think of trash bags and I think Glad.
Exactly. And so I think they're trying to ride this wave of, well, Glad is a known brand. We're, top waste management type of home company in the States. And so we don't even necessarily need to do more than just have our name there in order to be successful. And that's one of the things that's really exciting about Amazon is a lot of the really big brands aren't necessarily doing a fantastic job, because there's a good chance that they have a overstressed marketing team that was told, hey, you need to be on Amazon. They don't know that much about Amazon. They throw something up, or, they kind of don't have the time to commit and to dedicate to it. But so what that means is that if you can figure out this Amazon piece, you have an opportunity to not only go head to head with some of these brands, but to totally outshine some of these brands. Like, I don't know many people, unless you are a user of this product, that would, have brand recognition for Earth Rated. Right. I certainly didn't before seeing this. But let's just take a look at the listing. So Glad has one bullet, and it's a pretty unexciting bullet. I guess it's talking to some important details. And then these are all the images that they have. Their lone sort of lifestyle image is the most kind of like corporate, jargony sounding waste management products built with Glad level of strength and innovation. Like, is that about the customer, or is that about Glad thinking that they're the best thing since sliced bread?
Right.
So there's nothing there that's communicating to me as a customer about my concerns. Right. Now, before we go into the bullets themselves, let's look at the photos of Earth Rated. They have very simple images, but each one is telling me something really interesting and relevant to me as a customer. And they're using their images to communicate the key benefits and what they've done to really innovate a product that is not the most exciting product in the world. So with each of these images, they are connecting. I have a dog. They're connecting directly to frustrations or concerns that I have as a customer. So they're leak proof. That's obviously very important. They also are pointing out this easy to separate and open, which a lot of times you end up having to do that one-handed, or even if you don't, it's just kind of one of those things. I don't know how many bags I've ripped or times that I've struggled just to get them open. So that might seem really insignificant to somebody that doesn't have a dog, but to somebody that does, that's really awesome. And that's something I'm interested in. Then we have the fact that they have the core is made of recycled paper. So they're really minimizing the amount of waste that this product has. And then this redesigned Easy Lift sticker, which I think may be the most exciting part of all, again, as a dog owner, because I don't know how many bags I've ruined with ripping and making a hole trying to get that ceiling sticker off. So the fact that they have really put thought into all of these little elements to connect with the customer's core concerns and to make what is not anybody's favorite chore just a little bit less crappy. Sorry, I just couldn't think of a better word, and it seemed fitting. And so, I think the other thing when we look at the bullets here, they're not trying to pretend that they're something different than what they are. And they're not trying to pretend like this is suddenly going to make your experience on this part of your dog's walk any better. They have a little bit of a sense of humor. They are kind of just accepting it for what it is. And it feels like they are dog owners and they understand what it's like to be a dog owner and what you care about as a dog owner. Glad, it feels like they saw another product opportunity. Oh, we already manufacture plastic bags. We'll just make them smaller and sell them as, as poop bags, and the pet category is a really great one to be in. And like, why can't we dominate that also?
Yeah. But one thing that I see on here in the images that you had mentioned earlier is distracting the buyer. right? So if you look on the right side here, there's a bunch of stuff, and maybe you think, I can't find the leash, or I need another one, or so you're like, oh, let me just go quickly look at the leash, and you've lost that customer there. So because I really like that point that you had made earlier, is like, get them to just sort of go in the tunnel and make the purchase, rather than distracting them with other things where they would leave your page.
Definitely. And sometimes it can be worthwhile to kind of give a teaser of some of the other things that you might be selling, but you definitely don't want to make that the primary focus of your product page. And I additionally showing what I would imagine to be their full product range. First of all, I don't even know if they sell leashes. So that leash just could be there as a prop. Sure. But also, this is kind of a lot of different things going on. And so let's say that they just focused on the training pads. So perhaps that would be a nice companion purchase if somebody's in the process of house training their pet. I can see the connection there. But then when you start to grow this into so many other things, that's where it really starts to be confusing. And without any kind of text there, then it's allowing me to go in many different directions, many of which may not have anything to do with GLAD at all. Because it's not that I'm going to, if I see, oh yeah, I need training pads, type in GLAD training pads. I'm going to type in training pads, and that may take me to whatever, Amazon seller that knows how to differentiate themselves with that product, and GLAD will be lost on page 5, and there we have it, the end of the conversation. And so here is GLAD's A+ content, almost identical to what we were seeing with Melita. There's really nothing here that's grabbing me in any way whatsoever. I don't know why anybody needs an infographic of how a product like this works. I think that's a little unnecessary. And they're using one of my favorite modules for A+ content, which is that standard comparison chart, but they're doing it in a really bad way. So they're just showing a variety of different products, and then they have 2 rows of it. So they can streamline this into 1 row of products, and maybe think about what 5 products make the most sense, and what details does somebody need to know, so that they can very quickly and easily say, yes, this is what I want. This makes sense for me. And this, I didn't know that they had a waste bag dispenser that also had a sanitizing spray on it. That's pretty cool. That's something new. So you can have an opportunity for, an upsell here, but you want to be very thoughtful and not confuse customers. So this chart is great for two reasons. One is if you're selling products that are very similar, it can really help a customer to find the product that's best for them. So in this case, they have a few different types of dispensers that are disposable. I don't know. I'm just confused, honestly, by looking at this. I think these are all different types of dispensers, but one has scented bags, the other one doesn't. It's a mess. If they could show me 3 different dispensers, it would be much clearer to me what it is that I'm looking at, and to figure out the dispenser that's correct for me. The other way that these charts can be really helpful is if you have some complementary products. So again, sort of along the lines of what GLAD's doing, it's just that they haven't organized it well. And knowing that, like, another great example would be, let's say you sell skincare. And so the product page is for a face wash, but you know that after people wash their face, that they're also going to want a moisturizer, and maybe they would be interested in a face mask, and maybe even, some other types of treatments or serums or whatnot. And so being able to show them the full range of that product line could be a great way to get people to not just buy the face wash, but to buy some complementary products as well. So those are the 2 main ways that it's really good, but it shouldn't just be a catalog of all of your products. And you even want to be thoughtful about the information that you're writing in the different the columns and rows, and thinking about how can you make that clear and understandable. And to me, this doesn't really do that at all. Earth Radar doesn't even have A+ content. So they have achieved the success that they have without A+ content. Now, I'm not saying that A+ content wouldn't help them be even more successful. It very well might be. I know that it's a great tool for a lot of people, but it shows you how a product that is not that exciting, that's definitely not sexy, is selling really well by understanding what their customers want, really trying to make that product the best that it can possibly be. It is about features, but it's about features that that you don't even necessarily know would be there. So if you're just looking for a bag like this, you may not know that there are ones that separate easily and that there's a sticker design that allows it to release without ruining the first bag. But you would be really excited to find that, and you would want to continue purchasing that. Now, the other piece here is that these are biodegradable, and they're also using recycled materials. So again, like Black Rifle Coffee Company, the conversation isn't just about the best bag. It's also about this other piece of people that are interested in sustainability and really wanting to be thoughtful about the products that they purchase and the impact that those products have on the environment. And so that's the other piece here that they are connecting with. And so by doing those two things, they've obviously achieved really phenomenal success. So last example here, we have two products. Again, on the surface, they are nearly identical. On the left, we have Intex, and these are both inflatable pools for children. On the left, we have Intex. At the time that I took this slide, these numbers I think have changed a little bit since then, but at that time, this was number 35 in toys and games. Intex is a well-known brand. You can find them in Walmart and all over the place. On the right, we have Splash Easy. They are a relative newcomer to the space. At the time of this screenshot, they were number 4 in toys and games. We actually helped launch Splash Easy last year, and they spent the majority of the summer in the top 100 toys and games. And then as soon as the weather got warm this year, it skyrocketed right back up. Something, again, this is the third time we're seeing it. Splash Easy isn't just selling the core function of the product itself. So Intex on the left, they're leaving a lot to be desired with their bullets. I don't even get all of the basic information that I may want or need about a product like this. For example, it's inflatable. I don't know if it comes with a pump to inflate it, or if I need to blow it up with my lungs, or if I need to buy some other special thing that inflates it. I don't know. They're not giving us even those basic details. Now, Splash Easy, they are, as you read it a little bit, you understand that they're not just talking about a way to cool down and be outside with their children. They are talking about how this product can be a way to help further your children's development. And so what they've done is they've added, and they have a few different designs, but they have some different pictures that they've printed onto the material that you can play different games with your child. And so they are turning something that is just sort of fun way to cool down into something that's also helping children learn and develop, and again, connecting in with those deeper emotions that customers have. But you would have never thought that a little baby pool would be also having these other types of benefits to them. And with that slight change, really all it is printing a different, some different colors on the material. They've really created a whole new product category that didn't exist before. And so they're very clear about who their customers are, and they're making sure that they're communicating all of those things that customers need to know in order to feel even more excited about a product like this. So here's Intex's A+ content. pretty vague. Also, just for your reference, here it's saying the water capacity is 18 gallons, and in the bullets it's saying it's 22 gallons. So they are not even sure how much water this pool holds, which is a little concerning to me. But I guess, you know, if you need just a basic pool and this is the cheapest one that there is, then you'll buy it, you know, and it has a lot of reviews, and maybe it got on Amazon before many other products like this were sold on Amazon. And so it was able to just establish a high spot. And, but you see that a relative newcomer that doesn't have a well-known brand has totally outperformed this product. So here's Splash Easy's A+ content. You'll see they have a lot of lifestyle images. They're really helping customers to imagine the experience that they're going to have and that their children are going to have when they're interacting with this product. They have this infographic here, empower your little ones, early learning, and talking about some of the different things that you can help to develop in your child as you use this product. And so again, it's not just about cooling down, though that's there, but that's kind of the obvious function of a product like this. So you don't need to spend a lot of time and effort communicating about that. Instead, they're talking about all these other ways that you can use this product to do so much more than just cool down. And as a result, they've achieved amazing success. And now they have a lot of copycats that are trying to do exactly what they do. So it's just really, I just think, you know, we have 3 examples here of brands that are getting really clear about who they are, but also getting really clear about who their customers are, and then figuring out how to communicate with them in a way that's not just about the product and is about something much bigger and is helping to cultivate a relationship. All of these products are not just selling all these brands aren't just selling the product itself. They're inviting customers into a relationship. And whether it's the case of Black Rifle Coffee Company and Earth Rated, where they want to be the go-to whenever somebody needs a refill, since both of those are things that get used and need to be purchased with frequency. And in this case, it's something of, okay, well, the development and engaging physically and all that stuff, that's something that this brand must really know about. What other products do they have? Maybe they have products that once the weather cools down that I can use inside my house that are ways to engage my children that don't involve the television. So they're both establishing them, or the 3 are establishing themselves in ways that customers may also want to know what other products they sell, and will start to make them their go-to when they need a product like that. So the more curious you can get about your customers and about who your brand is and about who your competitors are, the better job you'll do at achieving all of these things that we've spoken about. You can't just use some witty language and call it a day. You need to dig a little bit deeper and really start to get to the heart of what people care about, what you want to be as a business, and how you can utilize that information in a way that's going to be effective and create meaningful interactions with customers that make them excited to purchase from you. So if you don't know how to do that, but you would like to take a stab, we're happy to give you a free listing analysis. Or if you're just not sure if your product is doing what it needs to be doing, if you open your camera on your phone or go to marketingbyemma.com/free analysis, you can scan this QR code or go to that link and fill out the form, and we're happy to give you a free listing analysis that will include some tips about things that you may want to consider doing in order to really take your product page to the next level. And if you have other questions, you can also feel free to reach out. These are our contact details, marketingbyemma.com, email, Facebook. We're we're most places, and we would be happy to answer any questions you have. And if you decide that this isn't something that you want to do, we would also be happy to take that task off your plate and help you out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Emma. This was, chock full of information. It was really relevant and really important to so many sellers. And I really appreciate you taking the time out to chat with me and to share all of this amazing information. And, we certainly, encourage people to go, and it's risk-free, just see what they have to say. Because there's always room for improvement on your listings, and that can make a huge impact on your sales. And thank you so much. I appreciate it, Emma.
Thank you, Hiba. This was great, and I hope to meet you in person one day.
Absolutely. I'd love that.
Bye.
Bye.